So you came back for more, huh? Well, if you're not done with the abuse, then I've got plenty more to shell out for you. So this is video number 3 in the Do Not Sync series called It's Too Subjective. So if you're not aware, getting accepted by a library, a production music library, is an art. It's not a science. There's not a sort of prescribed path that anybody can give you to guarantee you're going to get accepted by a library. Sure, I can definitely coach you. We have many resources to help you craft the most applicable, ready-to-go professional licensable music. We can coach you in how to approach them in a personal way after doing your research and making sure that you're not just spamming them. There's some common sense tips you can have, but even following all of that, you click that send button on your email, and then it's just a matter of somebody's subjective preferences, their tastes. It's literally, do they like vanilla ice cream or chocolate? Well, you gave them strawberry, they're not really interested in it. So this is a really frustrating part about this business. I have had so many opportunities where I felt that I directly followed the brief, right? I'll give you one example. I won't share the client name because I don't want to blow them up, but it was extremely frustrating. But it's so common in this business. And if you talk to anybody that does sync licensing full time, they'll share a similar story. So it was for a major retail outlet. We were putting together a great, huge national campaign, nice big sync fee attached to it. It was going to have a lot of exposure, a lot of airplay, a lot of royalties potentially associated with it. And they were looking for a custom piece of music. And the brief, what they wanted was kind of a very minimal stripped down, like a choir humming with just like kind of kick and clap. So almost like you were in a church, like a deep South Baptist church or something like that with a choir in the background. That's what they wanted. Maybe a piano, I think, in it. So that's what I performed, and I actually had to hire people to put it on the track, and I had to compose it, and it was a lot of work, a lot of fun. It was very different from what I'm usually used to doing, but it was a very difficult brief. And after, I think it was 3 or 4 days of just, constantly rewriting and listening to, they'd give us a couple of, reference tracks. Again, those are misleading because sometimes you think, oh, if I just make it sound like that reference track, I'll get the brief. You'll find out that doesn't always lead you in the right direction. So I follow it directly, I send it in. And then I don't hear anything. And that's a very common thing too, just so you know. We've talked about waiting in this business. After you send in a track for a brief, it's very common to not hear anything for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, sometimes a month or even more. It could be 2 months. And eventually I heard back from the client, and basically the word was, after all that they received, they decided to just go with a completely different direction. They ended up going with, I think it was kind of like a pop rock Imagine Dragons style. They didn't want to go with the sort of minimal Baptist church choir voice that they wanted to. So after all the time and energy I put into that track, working essentially for free, no demo fee. That's another big bummer about this industry. A lot of times you're not getting any demo fee. You're just going to have to work for free, try to put your track out for these opportunities. And then after all of that, not even getting like feedback, not even getting a sort of, yeah, you're close, try this. It was just like, you know what? We just decided to change our mind and we went in a completely different direction. So why did they do that? Maybe a subjective taste, maybe politics. Politics certainly play a big role in a lot of these opportunities. People owe other people favors. Somebody wants to get on somebody's good side, so they'll use a track from a particular, music supervisor or a client because they want to build a relationship for future opportunities or even just personal networking needs or whatever it is. All that's completely out of your control. It's all subjective. It's all, most of it, nonsense and just BS. And you have nothing that you can do about it, really. And that's if the brief is clear, right? There's a second issue to here is that some briefs are very vague. So you can get a brief and it's from a big client and it's got a big sync fee attached to it. But the way they're talking about the music has nothing to do with musical terms. So they're talking about like, keep it fresh and relevant for younger audiences and make sure the instruments sound very clean and crisp. Good luck with that, right? And that sometimes is all you get. You don't even get a reference track. You don't get an artist to emulate. You get these very non-musical, subjective, descriptive terms that you're supposed to interpret that into music. So if you feel like you're up for that challenge, sync licensing might be your fit. Briefs are often changed. You can basically work on something for a while, just like I just described, and they can change their minds. Or after you've already been working, they'll send you just an updated brief. We decided we want more of this and this, and you just spent 2 days working on something completely different. So you have to now regroup, go try again, listen to a new reference track, see if you can get on board. And with all of that, even if you follow a brief to the T, like you literally have the brief, you have the descriptors, you really feel like you're nailing it, at the end of the day, it's still somebody's subjective choice, whether or not they're liking what you did. Because one thing that happens in this business is people think they want one thing and they put out the brief for that one thing. but they'll listen to all the submissions, even if they're all very similar to what they were looking for, and there'll be sort of one weird track that isn't quite fitting it, but they'll like that one better. And it's mostly because the surprise factor. So because they're expecting a certain vibe from all these tracks, I don't know what that's all about, but something that's kind of surprising and different and unique makes them feel like maybe we'll stand out better with this advertisement opportunity, or maybe it just sort of gives them a refresh on the entire project, right? Sometimes we can do that in the studio where we're working on some track for hours or one part of a track for hours and hours, and we accidentally copy and paste some melody on top of a chorus that wasn't supposed to be there, but we hear it and we're like, ooh, I like that. It surprises us. It makes us feel like there's a new energy in this track now because we did something that was not expected. That can definitely happen in these briefs. And that's actually a little tip I can give you guys is when you are submitting to briefs, always submit one that's definitely right on their brief and what they're looking for, but try to throw one that's completely out there, that's completely experimental in its own lane, something that they're not even asking for, and let them know this is definitely an experimental piece that I thought maybe you guys would want to check out. You never know, actually. Sometimes those are the ones that actually go through, but with all of this said, you can tell that it's very difficult. It's very stressful. It's aggravating, and it's super, to do this consistently too, to like basically maybe have briefs every single week or every single month, and you're constantly not getting the gig. Like it's like, oh, between me and one other composer, and then they go with the other composer, and that happens consistently over and over again. I don't know if you're going to want to stick with this thing for longer, considering also that we talked about before how long it takes and how little income is out there for this business. So I want to just make sure you guys are 100% ready and prepared for what this industry can potentially beat you up over, okay? So that's video number 3. Stay tuned if you dare. Video number 4 is going to be It's Too Crowded. Yes. As a result of my channel and many other people talking about sync licensing, and definitely as a result of the pandemic, there are way too many producers, composers, bands, artists, composers, everybody. I think I said composers twice, but too many of them jumping into this business and throwing their music and basically oversaturating the market with production music. So not many people are sticking with it for the long run, but there's definitely way more people now jumping into it than there ever were before. So I'm going to try to talk you out of getting started, because that was one of the main reasons why I put this entire series together is I want to pop a little bit of this bubble. We have too many people think that it's easy or that it's accessible or that it's something that they can just kind of dabble with and do well in. And I'm going to try to do my best to pop that bubble, set that record straight, and keep you guys fully informed of really what you're getting into. So we'll see you for the video 4.